Alright guys, BLM here, back with a new video. In this video, I'll be talking about why you should watch the British reality television show, The Circle. And this is a show that was really making the rounds during the Big Brother off season, as the latest season started right after the end of Big Brother. So in this video, I will be doing a non-spoiler assessment of the show, talking about its pros and some of its cons, and talking about why you should give the show a shot if you're a fan of Survivor and, more importantly, Big Brother. Now, whether that be the original UK version of the show, or that be the US version of the show that's coming in 2020. So let's just get started. So as of right now, as I mentioned, there are 2 UK seasons. It did prove to be a pretty big success in the UK, and because that Netflix bought the rights to the show and are going to be doing a US version of the show, a French version, and a Brazilian version, with the US version already being confirmed to be coming out next year. So for the sake of this video, we will be talking about the UK version, as that's the only one that is currently airing, and that's the only one that we know for sure what the format is actually like. So the show does take place over the course of about 3 weeks and airs almost every day, with the events on the show being the events from the day or two before. And it feels like an evolution of the original Big Brother format, where we're still watching people interact while being stuck inside of a house. But what's interesting about The Circle is that these people never actually meet eye to eye. They're all isolated in their own rooms, and the players can only communicate through a social media app called The Circle. And this brings a completely new dynamic to these type of shows, where you come into the game playing as who you want to be. It's really determined on the player themselves. They can play as, obviously, themselves, or they can play as a catfish. And this plays a major factor on both of the current seasons that have aired so far, and lead to some of the best moments in the entire series. But for the actual game itself, the game of The Circle is meant to be a massive popularity contest. Each round, the players are forced to rate or rank, depending on the season, each of their fellow players, and the top 2 scoring players become influencers. These influencers must agree on one person to block from the circle, essentially voting them out of the game. And this is a level of social strategy that was completely missing from shows like Big Brother UK, which allowed the audience to dictate who went home and who was the winner. Here on The Circle, the entirety of the eliminations and the choice of the winner is up to the players. And I feel like there is a lot of room for improvement on this show from a strategic level. And I really do hope that this sort of strategic thinking does continue on. And I hope that the audience starts to gravitate towards it as well. As I feel like from a basic game perspective, this is a very interesting strategic and social game that requires a lot of social manipulation through just text, which is something that we haven't really seen in reality TV before. But again, the show is still in its infant stages, and even though there are definitely players that do end up playing the game strategically, I just don't feel like it's on the level that it could be just yet. But there are some things that do carry over from something like a Big Brother UK. There are people that do come into the game late. And it's actually a major part of this game that I personally don't like, but I understand why it's there. During the premiere, 8 people enter the circle, and as people get eliminated, they eventually get replaced by another one, with the total count of cast members by the end of the season being around 15. However, all these people are still sequestered. It's not like they were in the open world and then were able to come into the house. They were all sequestered, which sucks even more for like the last person to come into the house, because that means they were sequestered for probably like a couple weeks before being able to enter the game. And this allows for there not being too many people to follow at one time, and also allowing for new dynamics every few episodes to keep more intrigue there. But purely from a gameplay perspective, I would prefer if everyone was there from the very beginning to keep the game fully fair. Also, I should mention that when someone is eliminated from the game, they have the opportunity to meet someone of their choice. So obviously with some people being catfish and everything, this does add a fun wrinkle to the show. Obviously, it doesn't really affect anything gameplay-wise. The editing of the show is very similar to what you would expect from your standard reality show, with a focus on showmancing, confrontations, though it is weird to see people fighting through text. But something that is unique to The Circle, at least from the North American versions of like Big Brother, is the narrator and how big of a factor she has on the show, making fun of most of the players and making pretty witty jokes throughout. Pretty much every episode ends on a cliffhanger, and that's something the show itself makes fun of. And by the time you get to season 2, the show makes fun of itself a lot, making fun of its own use of like slow-mo and dragging out things for suspense and the use of cliffhangers. Like the show itself mentions these things, which is a pretty funny thing. But I do think the fact that every episode ends on a cliffhanger does lead to the show being a bit unfocused at points. I think the thing that's missing here is a bit of structure, With shows like Survivor or Big Brother, or even if you want to get into Big Brother UK, there's a clear structure within each episode. Where with Survivor, obviously each episode ends with a vote out. With Big Brother US, each week has nominations, veto, eviction, structured very similarly. BB UK, each episode is one day. But here with The Circle, it's kind of arbitrary where they're picking the ending spot here. And because that each episode doesn't have a very clear beginning and ending, it's just kind of one continuous story. Now we should talk about the cast, which I think the cast on these seasons are pretty strong and kind of what you would expect from like a BBUK. With your mix of like kind of wacky characters with trashy sort of characters. I do feel like most of the people on the show though do get their time to shine. I don't feel like anyone was a complete dud. I feel like season 1 in particular gives each person their own character moments. But I do feel like by the time season 2 there are certain people that do get kind of forgettable. The show does have tasks or games or whatever, very similar to what you would expect from a BBUK or BB Can. And some of them are pretty good that expose like social dynamics, they cause arguments, they sometimes expose catfishes. But there are also some that are really pointless and just seem to drag on, like times where they're told to like make a cake or something like that. But for the overall show, I personally would recommend starting off with season 1. I think season 1 is the superior season in my opinion in almost every aspect. That and also the fact that season 2, on the premiere, they actually spoil the winner of season 1. So again, it's just better to start season 1 anyway. Season 2 is good as well, but they add some twists that I don't particularly love. They added a weekly live episode that added in like an after show-esque show during the actual episode. It's really strange. They spent a lot of the time interviewing the blocked characters and talking about the week. It's really weird how this is part of the actual episode and they didn't just add in a after show immediately afterwards. Like I feel like that would have made more sense, but considering season 2 seemed to be a bigger success than season 1 worldwide, and with their already being a confirmed season 3, I do feel like this format will probably end up staying. So that's pretty much everything non-spoiler related that I have to say about The Circle. I do think if you're a fan of Big Brother, really any format of it, whether it be BBUS, BBCAN, BBUK, I think you should definitely give this show a shot. I think there's a lot of similarities in the way the show is presented, in the way that the game itself is played. Though again, it's not quite to the level of something like a BBUS or a BBCAN, but I do think it could potentially get there. Now for Survivor fans, I feel like it's a bit more iffy. The show definitely doesn't take itself nearly as seriously as Survivor. It is into the sort of trashier sort of drama that you would expect more so from a Big Brother or any of the MTV reality shows. So because of that, I find it relatively difficult to recommend for people that are solely Survivor fans. But if you're looking for an interesting reality show to give a shot, I do think you should maybe try this out or try out The Genius. The Genius is also fantastic. So that's pretty much the video. I do plan on making a review of season 3 when that eventually comes out. It'll probably be a year from now, but whatever, when it comes out, I will do a review of it. And the same thing for the US version as well, whenever that is finished as well. So that's everything I gotta say for this video, so thank you for watching.